What's good, football fans? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and also hit the thumbs up down below on this video. All right, so I'm going to do my college football playoff bracket after week number 11. So got another shakeup coming. As I've done the last few weeks, I've done the first who I think are the first four teams out, and then the next four teams out, and then predict what I think will be the seeds, the top four seeds, and the first round. So without further ado, my first four out is Texas A&M, Georgia, Colorado, and Ole Miss. And so Texas A&M, I think I had them in last week if I'm not mistaken, but with Miami losing, that puts SMU in the top four seeds, or they get a first round bye. And then I still have Miami as a playoff team because, that is their first loss of the season. More on that later. Georgia, this was not a good look for them. Their second loss of the season, and they do have a showdown with Tennessee coming up this week. And if Georgia loses this game, they're definitely out of the playoffs. Tennessee, if they lose, they still could make it. And then Colorado, they had a come-from-behind win against Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is pretty good. And so, as I said before, I mean, clearly, I was wrong about Colorado. So, and they might be possibly winning the Big 12. They're now in second place in the Big 12 behind BYU, and so we'll see what happens there. And then Ole Miss, they had a big win at home against Georgia, as I just mentioned. So that win was a huge boost for them as far as keeping their playoff hopes alive. And then my next four out, I have Army, who had a big win against North Texas, Louisville, Clemson, and LSU. So Louisville and Clemson, they're still in the mix as far as the ACC goes. Army, I know they got to play Notre Dame here pretty soon. I don't know how that game is going to turn out, but if they lose that game, I would say they're probably out of the playoffs. They're going to need some help, though, from Boise State losing as well as Navy. And then LSU, they took that big shellacking at home against Alabama, and their playoff hopes are pretty much done. So we'll see how things are going forward for them. All right, so now let's do the top four seeds, and Oregon is still number one. That's no surprise. Texas is now back at number two with Georgia losing to Ole Miss. Texas, they're back at the top of the SEC. And then I have BYU at number three. And so BYU, they escaped one this past week. They did play their in-state rival Colorado on the road, a game in which they had to come from behind, but they found a way to win, and that's what good teams do. No matter who you're playing, if you're down, you find a way to win. And then number four, we have a newcomer this week, and that newcomer is SMU. So wouldn't that be something if SMU in their first year in the ACC, if they were to win the ACC, well, they're in first place now that Miami has lost their first game of the season. And so yeah, that would be a great story for the Ponies if they win in their first year in the ACC. So now let's go ahead and let's do the first round real quick. Number 12, I still have Boise State. They just continue to roll. They did beat Nevada this past weekend. And then Miami, I have them at number 11. I still think Miami is a playoff team. I know several games, that have been very close, but unfortunately for them, you can only go to the luck bank so many times because sooner or later you're going to run out of deposits, and that was clearly the case this week. They lost on the road to Georgia Tech, and so I still think Miami is a playoff team, but they definitely cannot afford another loss. And don't be shocked if they lose another game this year, so just keep that in mind. Number 10, I have Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they put a whooping on Florida State. They got Virginia this week, and so Notre Dame, their schedule is easy. They got Army and USC after that. That Army game should be interesting, so we'll see what happens with that. I have Alabama at 9. Um, you know, that loss to Vandy that they had is not looking so bad now. And they South Carolina played them tough, and South Carolina's a good team this year too. And then they had that loss to Tennessee, but they've really turned things around, and it showed this past weekend, going on the road to LSU, a hostile environment, and they spanked LSU in that one. So good win for Bama. Penn State, I have at number 8. So they bounced back after that loss to Ohio State. They beat Washington pretty handily. I have Tennessee at number 7. They have that big showdown with Georgia coming up this coming weekend, I should say. And certainly for Georgia, I think this is a playoff elimination game. And then number 6, I have Indiana. So Indiana, they just continue to roll. They did have a bit of a scare though against Michigan at home this weekend. Is that a concern for them? I think it's next weekend is when they have their showdown with Ohio State, and so it's going to be interesting. But is that a cause for concern there in Bloomington? We'll wait and see. And then number 5, I still have Ohio State. So the bracket got shaken up a little bit this week, and so we'll see how things turn out. But that is my college football playoff bracket after week 11. What does your bracket look like? Who do you think should be in, and who do you think should be out? Let me know down below in the comments, guys. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time.